You're about to have bigger biceps and get rid of elbow pain using a grip technique that's custom tailored to you. This is the kind of upgrade you'll find in the book Massive Muscular Arms, published by Human Kinetics. So let's jump into the extract from the Flex Diet podcast with my good friend, Dr. Mike T. Nelson.
Just our own personalized anatomy. And you're right. I wrote the book and I indicated that the biceps, for example, are a biarticular muscle. How about this? What if they are effectively a triarticular muscle?
Ooh, nice.
How
blow my mind.
crazy is that? I mean, I didn't want to overcomplicate the book, so I didn't talk about that specifically. But really, the idea is that the biceps control movement across three joints, even though they don't actually cross three joints. So shoulder, elbow, and wrist.
Yep.
So this is just, it opens up so many opportunities for changing the way in which we contract the muscle and ultimately provide that stimulus for strength and growth. So that alone is just a huge upgrade in terms of our thinking. But I think, once we get smart people like yourself involved, we can really have a forward-thinking conversation about how to develop new exercises and techniques to do that. And I go through some of those. Really simply, I think that the simplest one is relates to the carrying angle of your elbow. And if you look down, straighten your arms below, you can help me articulate this. But if you look down at your elbow, you'll notice that your arm bone, your humerus, it can be vertical, but your elbow actually kinks out to the side a little bit. So your forearms are not directly in line with your arm. And that angle is called carrying angle. And the idea is that, we can clear our hips when we're running. Don't have to know the details, but the idea is that different people have different magnitudes of carrying angle. Some people have very large, often women actually have a greater carrying angle than men, but this can impact how you perform your arm movements, every single arm movement. So if you look at your carrying angle, make it as big as possible with your arms straight. Now imagine you're picking up a bar to do biceps curls. Now curl this imaginary bar up so you're performing just a regular biceps curl. Now look at where your forearm is relative to your arm, to your humerus. It is now in line. So we have what's called a grip delta, or a change in the width, the spacing between our hands, between the bottom of a curl and the top of a curl, for example. Now, if we're using a barbell, we can't change that, right? We can't change that during the rep. We're locked in. But it is important to consider, not only if you are used to grabbing a barbell in a very specific way, which we probably all are, but also if you have any kind of elbow pain, adjusting your grip according to typically the top position is going to potentially help mitigate that pain. And it's personalized, using your own personalized anatomy to change your grip to give you the biggest bang for your buck.
Very cool. And so would that be an argument for the use of dumbbells to allow that a little bit more movement through space to be less restricted then? So an easy thing I've told trainers is like, hey, if your barbell exercises start causing pain, just substitute them for dumbbell exercises and see what happens. And a lot of times like, oh my God, my pain went away. I was doing barbell bench press and now I'm doing dumbbell bench press and it doesn't hurt. Or I did barbell bicep curls and it hurt. And now I use dumbbells and it doesn't hurt. Right. I would say this is more of the context of being an online trainer where I'm not necessarily being able to look at your technique. Yes, if you're a competitive bench presser, you're probably going to have to use a straight bar. And so there's some restrictions with that. But is that kind of a similar along that vein, allowing just more range of motion, for lack of a better word, to account for carrying angles and differences?
I think that's actually an awesome point. I don't go as far as offering a prescription, so do one versus the other. It's more about let's start with the awareness and then try this out and then see how it works for you.
Got it.
Because I have had people who have had a profound difference by changing up their grip. Because I mean, again, if we think that grabbing the bar on the knurling, wherever that happens to be, if that's the way to grab a bar, because I read that there's, here's how your grip needs to be. It doesn't work for everybody, especially all the time. So just mix it up, and not only for pain, but muscle contraction. How does it feel to contract the muscle? And that's a really big emphasis in the book, is learning how to contract the muscle maximally. And that's basically, again, to get bigger gains rather than just, our traditional throwing around loads, which I've certainly never done before. But
Me neither.
Of course yeah, right. So yeah, it's more about appreciating the idea that we are trying to stimulate growth rather than we are just trying to move heavier loads. And it takes a while to really let that sink in. Really helps our ego take a back seat, especially if we are focused. Okay, yes, I am going to use a lighter weight. I'm going to use better form, and I am going to focus on my muscle contraction. And that is ultimately going to give me bigger gains. And if you don't want bigger gains, then that's absolutely cool. You do whatever you want to do. But the key is, if you are looking for bigger gains, you really need to tap into your anabolic stimulus that you get from training. So I really try to emphasize that. It doesn't mean you go light all the time. Like, there's a strength training phase for hypertrophy as well within the book. But the idea is, again, focusing on the stimulus, which helps remove our ego from the equation.
For more tips to build massive muscular arms, check out the book at armbar.com and the Flex Diet podcast with Dr. Mike T. Nelson. I'm David Arm Barr. Thanks for watching, and until next time, raise the bar.